Hey folks, Johnny Flyer on the bench, and tonight I've got a bit of a threefer for you, so I'm going to walk you through each one of these and let you know what I'm up to. So, a little busy on the bench tonight, and I do apologize. I'll try to at least make it sequential so we talk in at least some logical fashion. So, let me start with the first one, and I've got another video going for this one just so everybody kind of knows where it is. So, this is the Comet. That was in super bad shape, and we're still working on it. It's just taking some time to get the engine running on that one. But haven't given up, and we're still going to continue to fight on that one. But here's the body for the diesel. So I'll go ahead and post up a quick video on that one too. I may just attach it to this one. But it took some time to get all the paint off. And as you can tell, we didn't get exactly all of the paint off. So some of these kind of other areas here, we are still dealing with some of the gray paint, which is, interestingly enough, it looks like what they did was they painted this as a Santa Fe and then repainted it, or painted over the top of it, I guess I should say more appropriately, as a Comet. And I don't know if that was a Gilbert factory thing, or if that is somebody came along afterwards and decided they wanted a Comet, and so they painted it as a Comet instead. I don't know what the story is there, and I wish I had a little bit more expertise to be able to tell you that. But, so for what I have at this point, what we did was we took as much paint as we possibly could off of here. The blue, teal, if you will, and silver came off very, very easily. But what we ended up with was a lot of the red Santa Fe coloring that would not come off. And, you know, I could take some of the alcohol, and what I used in this case was this right here. I used the 91% isopropyl alcohol to take off a lot of the decals, but even with the isopropyl alcohol and the bath, that went for about a week. And simple green, it was about a 50-50 simple green and water. I could not get the majority of the paint off. Or at least these appear to be decals more than paint. But as you can see on this side and on this side, still a little bit of residual stuff, but not enough to the point where I can't put a good coat of primer on it and continue the work. So I'm going to do a little bit of tape work and tape the windows here and make sure those are taken care of, and so they're nice and covered. And then I will also paint or tape up as well. So I know what you're going to say. This is missing a third horn. And you're right. And in this case, I think what I want to do, just because it has some, I don't know, a little bit of personality, I'm going to leave it with the two horns here because I kind of like it. And maybe replace it down the line. And this one right here, I'll paint black to match with the rest of the horn, the antenna, or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what that is. On the diesel, and then I will go for a full repaint on the body here. I'm going to paint it on a separate, I guess, piece that I have here, just to make sure that I've got test paint to do. But bottom line is I will get back, and then I've got to put in some of these two-step bits right here that are missing off the body. They were actually broken on 3 of 4 stairs that I originally got. And I just opted to go ahead and replace the whole thing because we had essentially broken stairs everywhere. Now the other problem too is I have some broken mounts, if you can see there. So they are cracked or broken. That's in okay shape. And some of the back here are broken or cracked. So have to take some time. I have the other pieces of those, and I can probably screw them, or glue them back together. I don't know that I'll be able to do that in a way that will last over time, so I'm going to have to think of something else that will allow me to secure this to the chassis of the engine. So this is the status here. I'm going to slowly start to paint this one up. I'm going to make sure I'm deliberate about it and be good about trying to match colors with what the OEM factory colors are and not my own perceptions of those. And the nice thing is I do have another Comet Alco diesel that is in slightly better shape than this one that I can base the comparison against and make sure I'm getting as close as I possibly can to factory original. And just a quick shout out to Dave from Dave's American Flyer Trains, who has been extremely helpful with his advice and with his perspective on paint and some options to remove not only paint itself but decals and then rust, of course, on the metal parts. Boy, I would have a hard time trying to get this done had I not already seen his video on a Comet that he had gone through the process of repairing. I am going to try and do some pinstriping on this, the yellow pinstripe that goes just down the side here for the Comet. And what I'm going to try to do is tape it up with some of the Testors modeling tape. You can see right here, and see how that works out for me. I did see, if you might see on the 312 video, the engine, the steam engine that I worked on, did manage to peel off some of the black paint that I had tried to paint it with and got it down on the steam chest portion to bare metal again inadvertently. And Dave had some good advice on how to prevent that. I think at this point I'm going to try a combination of both his advice and the Testors modeling tape to see what to do. So moving on, and we get that done here shortly. The other of this three-fer, if you will, is the Silver Streak that needs to get first, of course, a base paint or base coat of the chrome silver, which I'm going to, I think I do with the airbrush that I have. I have some silver paint, and so I'm going to just opt to use the airbrush, do an enamel, thin out that enamel and put it through my airbrush and see what it takes to put this this coloring right for this particular engine. But the nice thing here is all the plastics are in great shape. This is still a 3-horn configuration as opposed to the last one. And of course the antenna brass piece, whatever that is right there, is in functional shape. And then the nicest part, of course, is the fact that I won't have to screw in any ladder system. So I'm going to take a little bit of Testors paint to that as well. A little black, or maybe some glossy black. And make sure these actually meet OEM configuration. So this one I am not expecting a whole lot of pushback on. Oh, one thing that does bear repeating on the previous one here, having just looked it down the barrel there, is you can kind of see on the left side there unfortunately is a crack in the plastic. I'm going to do a little bit of crack mitigation using the super glue, and I think that should be sufficient, at least to make sure that we don't see the crack when the paint starts to go on. So we will do just that. Anyway, so project piece number 3, which you may see here. So I have a picture which I'm going to post up real quick here, and you'll see it fade in and fade out, of the Mystic Station that I bought. So I bought this at a trade show for about 12 bucks, and it has the engine inside. Now you may see I've got the engine taken apart here and here. And it did test so it rotated and everything spun the way it was supposed to. What it does lack is the roof, which I can order online. I'm going to do a quick survey of the audience and figure how I get either I go off on stores online, or I'll pick it up from a friend. But the record is also missing as well. That is, I can also order from a couple different sites, which you can see down there. The hardware and the record are both missing. But the good news is that the engine spins, the worms jive really well, and once I finally get this rewired right here, I'll have a functional light that does light up the windows. So a couple parts I need to order, some windows and everything else, the doors. But as you can see, I have taken this down to bare metal minus a little bit of rust. So there's still just a little bit of rust mitigation to be done, bottom right there. But I've tried to sand this down as far as I can using a combination of Simple Green and vinegar and a little bit of navel jelly where appropriate, with the metal is thick enough. Just to get the metal off. But this is down to essentially bare metal parts. So it is as clean as it was as the day it was produced in the factory and before it was put all together. So I have a combination of some metal primer, which I'm going to use on all the major metal pieces for modeling. And then I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum on the body, or excuse me, the main part of the house here, because it does act both as a primer in this case, and then I will have a white gloss paint that I'm going to use that I think matches the coloring. And doing some research online, I think that's pretty close. And then for the base portion here, so this piece right here, which represents the ramp, and this as well, which will be part of the kind of the main portion of the I guess it's a ramp that goes around the building. We'll also go in the gray, which we will use this Rust-Oleum satin coloring here, right here. As you can see, it's a nice gray that should match up very, very nicely. We'll see, and if I need to, I can adjust a little bit using the airbrush after the fact. But what I really want to make sure I'm doing is I'm putting a good primer coat or something that can act as a primer coat that will adhere to this metal. As I found with some previous projects, that if you don't prime ahead of time, the paint does have a tendency to either bubble or to run or to not look as clean as it should if it had been painted correctly the first time and had to go back and take the paint off. So anyway, this is a Mystic Station, so it will have a, like I mentioned, a record player, and you should get that really cool kind of a pre-recorded sound, which I'm looking forward to. I am also looking into potentially making a speaker and Bluetooth system, if not for this one, which I think I want to keep it 100% original or close to original if I can, type of parts. I may make another one that runs off of the Bluetooth speaker and a pre-recorded series of WAV files, and just see if I can do it. I like the mix of the old and the new. So this is the status of these three projects. I'll continue to try to update for all three of these at the same time, but I figured because each of them is going to require a similar update to each and a similar type of painting, clearing, and drying process for each of the three of these projects, it might just make do to make them into one giant video where I start to discuss some of the trials and tribulations of priming, painting, and preparing 70-year-old plastic and metal engines and accessories. So for now, that's kind of where we are, folks. I appreciate you watching, and thank you very much. This is Johnny Flyer signing off.